So welcome to Chapter 3, the minimum viable product. So you've done your financial model, you've done your lean canvas, you've got your idea, you validated it. It must be time to start building, right? To hire developers and start getting things done? No. So first, what's the first thing you'd have to do, like before you even start building this fancy app or website or anything? First, you need to get it into the hands of customers. So you can test all the assumptions you've made in your financial model, your lean canvas, when you're doing your 5 whys. All the things that you kind of thought are going to crystallize into your MVP. So if you can't build yet, how can you get it into the hands of customers without building? You start by building an MVP. So what is an MVP exactly? An MVP stands for the minimum viable product, right? So basically, you take everything you want to do with your app, your idea, your business, and you strip it down to the absolute barest minimum. The least amount of stuff you can put in it, you start taking things out. You just leave it as it is. So nothing fancy, no fancy design, no menu, no screen, no sign up, no nothing. Just the real core of your product. That's what your MVP is, right? So you can even take away the phone in that case. No app, no nothing, your MVP, right? So why should you even build an MVP? There are 3 reasons. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's easy to change. At this stage in your building process, in the process of building your business, at this stage, you really want something that you can change quickly in case you made a bad assumption in your lean canvas or in your financial model. You thought you were going to be able to use referrals, but you realize that maybe your app is a little bit too private and people don't want to share. You thought you'd be able to charge a certain price. You thought you'd be able to do things. If you're using an MVP, it's so fast and easy and cheap to change that you can keep iterating till you know exactly how your business should work. So let's give an example of an MVP. This is Airbnb's very first website, right? There's no search functionality. There's no booking platform. There's no map, and it's only in one location, San Diego. So when Airbnb, so if you don't know Airbnb is a service, it's a startup that lets people book rooms in other people's homes that are cheaper than hotels, right? It launched in San Francisco, and the reason it started was that there was this big conference. So San Francisco is the tech center of America, and there was this big conference that was happening, and every year when this conference would happen, all the hotels would sell out, all the bed and breakfast will sell out, there'll be no place for people to stay. And these 2 guys were like, hey, maybe people could rent a room in our apartment. And they put it out there. They first put it on Craigslist. Who remembers Craigslist? And people rented. And so they decided, hey, maybe this is a business. So they created this little tiny website and just tried to prove that people were willing to share their homes with strangers and that strangers will be willing to stay in other strangers' homes. It seems kind of crazy now, but then it was even crazier. Like, even today, I still don't understand. Like, I've stayed in Airbnbs, but like, it blows my mind, right? So in the very first version, like, if you look at Airbnb now, there's like this fancy search. You can search in multiple locations all across the world. You can directly book from the app, but you couldn't do any of that when it first started. So this was their MVP. So a few closing thoughts. If your MVP is pretty, if it costs money, or doesn't require some form of manual intervention to work, then it probably isn't an MVP. Your MVP should be ugly. Like, you should be borderline ashamed of it. But it should just work. Like, you should be able to be doing things from the back end manually, accepting calls, doing things by email. There are ways to automate it, which we'll go into in the next module. But for the most part, an MVP is supposed to be the scrappy thing that you just put together in a week or a weekend, and really just get it into the hands of customers as quickly as you can. Right? So that's the end of module 1. In the next module, we'll be talking about how to actually build an MVP.